Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're looking at knowledge graphs and LLMs.
Uh-huh.
But there's a really interesting new release out there that claims to make this whole area so much easier
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
work with.
Absolutely.
So I know you, the listener, are pretty familiar with the world of data and AI.
Right.
But for anyone who needs a quick recap, knowledge graphs are basically like maps of
Mhm.
information.
That's a good way to think about it.
They show us all the connections between different ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
And this is really important for AI applications.
Yeah, particularly LLMs.
Especially LLMs because it gives them context.
Yeah.
It helps them understand the relationships between things.
It's like if you were trying to understand like a news article or something,
Okay.
just knowing the words isn't enough, right?
Right.
You need to know the background information.
Yeah.
Like who are the people involved? What happened before this?
Yeah.
How does this all fit together?
Yeah.
A knowledge graph provides that kind of background for AI.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, knowledge graphs have always seemed a bit intimidating to me, to be honest.
Yeah, they can be.
Like building them and integrating them, it's a lot.
It is.
So where does GraphRAG-SDK 0.5 fit into all of this?
So the big deal with this new SDK is that it simplifies everything.
Okay.
Before, integrating a knowledge graph with your AI was a real pain.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're trying to put together furniture without the instructions.
Oh, man, I hate that.
You had to create the whole graph yourself, define the relationships, store it separately, then figure out how to connect it all up.
Yeah, I'm terrible with furniture, even with the instructions, so I
Right.
can only imagine the headache this caused.
So this SDK really streamlines everything.
Okay.
You just load in your knowledge graph, and it automatically takes care of the ontology.
So it's like someone finally wrote the instruction manual.
Exactly.
But not only that, it's like all the pieces just magically click together.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I want to understand what features actually make this automatic integration possible.
Yeah, so one of the key things is that automatic ontology loading that we were just talking about.
Right.
So, let's say you're working with like medical research.
Okay.
Automating that step means that researchers can start analyzing the connections between diseases and treatments and genes much faster,
Wow.
potentially leading to quicker discoveries.
That's incredible.
It's like removing a huge roadblock
Yeah.
from the research process.
Wow.
But there's more.
Okay.
Another really cool feature is the predefined knowledge graph support.
Okay.
So let's say you want to use an existing knowledge graph,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one that's specific to finance or healthcare.
Okay.
This SDK lets you connect directly to those resources.
You don't have to build it yourself.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just start querying and extracting insights right away.
So if I wanted to explore financial market trends,
Yeah.
I could just tap into a financial knowledge graph.
Start asking questions like, which companies are going to benefit from this policy change?
Precisely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it makes the whole process much more efficient.
So this is all sounding great, but there's still one piece of the puzzle I'm missing.
Okay.
We've got the knowledge graph, we've got all the connections.
Right.
But how do we actually use this information? How do we
Yeah.
interact with it?
That's where LLMs come in.
Okay.
And this is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
So the SDK lets you connect your ontology directly to a large language model.
Okay.
This opens up a whole world of possibilities for question answering.
So instead of having to write these complex queries, I can basically just talk to my data.
You got it.
Just ask it questions in plain English.
You ask your questions naturally.
Wow.
And the LLM, powered by the knowledge graph,
Okay.
understands those connections and gives you meaningful answers.
I have to admit, the idea of just chatting with my data and getting real answers is kind of mind-blowing.
It is pretty cool. Can you walk me through how that question answering would work in practice?
Sure.
Let's say I'm that financial analyst you mentioned earlier, and I'm using that financial knowledge graph.
Okay, so imagine you're looking at a company's stock performance,
Okay.
and you want to understand why it dipped
Mm-hmm.
recently.
Right.
You could just ask the LLM, why is this company's stock price declining?
Okay.
And the LLM, using the knowledge graph, might say, well, there have been some recent regulatory changes that have affected this industry,
Okay.
or maybe there's increased competition,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe there's been some negative news coverage about this company.
So it's not just giving me a simple answer.
Right.
It's actually analyzing the relationships within the knowledge graph
Yeah, it's giving you context.
and giving me explanations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And because the knowledge graph understands all these complex relationships between companies and industries and even like global events.
Right.
It can uncover insights that you wouldn't see just by looking at the raw data.
That's incredible.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
So it's like having an AI analyst
Yeah.
right there beside me, helping me understand all the data and connect the dots.
That's a great way to think about it.
That's really powerful.
It is. And what's really exciting about this approach is that it makes this complex data analysis accessible to a much wider audience.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a data scientist or a knowledge graph expert to get value out of it.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
I mean, like, democratizing these tools is crucial because then more people can engage with the data,
Exactly.
ask the right questions, and ultimately make better decisions.
Absolutely.
But, what about someone who is already comfortable working with knowledge graphs?
Yeah.
Is there still a benefit for them with this simplified pipeline creation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, for people who already know what they're doing, this SDK is a huge time saver.
Okay.
Instead of spending all that time on setup and integration,
Right.
they can focus on the more interesting stuff.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like refining the knowledge graph,
Okay.
developing more complex queries,
Uh-huh.
or exploring new ways to use LLMs for insights.
So it's like they've been given these power tools that let them work more efficiently
Exactly.
and achieve even more.
Yeah.
I see.
So they can really take their work to the next level.
Now, the documentation also mentions some improvements to document processing. Can you talk a bit more about what's changed and why that matters?
Yeah, so one of the things that was always tricky with knowledge graphs was dealing with large amounts of information.
Okay.
It could be kind of a black box.
Oh, okay.
You weren't really sure how the knowledge graph was being built or how long it was going to take.
Right.
The new SDK has this progress bar
Oh, cool.
that gives you a real-time view of how documents are being processed and added into the knowledge graph.
So it's like having a window into the process.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
It helps users understand how the knowledge graph is being constructed. And it can even provide insights into where you might need to make some adjustments.
So for those working with really big data sets, that can be pretty reassuring.
Absolutely. It can give them a lot more confidence in the process.
Okay, this is all sounding incredible.
Yeah.
And I know our listeners are eager to know how they can actually get started with this.
Of course.
So where do we begin?
Well, the good news is that the team behind this SDK has made it incredibly easy to get up and running.
Okay, good.
They have a GitHub repository with all the code documentation and examples you need.
That's perfect for like the coders out there who want to dive right in.
Exactly. And for those who prefer a more hands-on visual approach, they also have a Colab notebook,
Oh, cool.
which is a great resource because it lets you experiment with the SDK right there in your browser.
No installation needed.
No installation needed.
Nice.
You can play around with different data sets, try out all the features,
Awesome.
and get a feel for how it all works.
So whether you're like a seasoned developer or just starting out, there's a way for you to jump in and get your hands dirty.
Exactly. We want to make this accessible to everyone.
Now, we've talked about some applications in finance and healthcare,
Right.
but let's broaden our perspective a bit.
Yeah.
What other fields could really benefit from this technology?
I mean, the possibilities are huge.
Yeah.
Any field where you've got structured data and you need better insights can benefit.
Okay.
So let's take manufacturing, for example.
Okay.
Imagine a company that's using this SDK to analyze data from their production lines,
Okay.
their supply chain,
Yeah.
even customer feedback.
Wow.
They could use the knowledge graph to identify bottlenecks,
Okay.
optimize their production,
Uh-huh.
even predict when equipment might fail.
So not just like improving efficiency,
Right.
but preventing problems before they happen.
Exactly.
Nice.
Or how about environmental science?
Okay.
Researchers could use this to analyze climate data,
Uh-huh.
track biodiversity,
Wow.
understand how ecosystems work.
That's amazing.
This could lead to better conservation strategies,
Okay.
more accurate climate predictions,
Wow.
and ultimately a healthier planet.
It's incredible to think how this technology could be used to tackle these huge problems.
It really is.
It's amazing.
And that's what makes this field so exciting.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about small improvements.
Right.
We're talking about changing how we understand and use data.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge shift.
Now, we talked a little bit about the future of this SDK earlier. And you mentioned the team's working on being able to handle unstructured data.
That's right.
This seems like a massive step forward.
It is.
So what are the challenges and opportunities there?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So working with unstructured data like text and images and audio,
Right.
it presents a whole new set of challenges.
Okay.
You need more sophisticated techniques to extract meaning from all that messy, real-world data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the potential rewards are huge.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to seamlessly integrate information from scientific papers,
Okay.
news articles,
Uh-huh.
social media,
Wow.
even like books and literature,
That's a lot.
into a knowledge graph.
Wow.
It's like connecting all of the world's knowledge
Yeah.
into a single network.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Think about what you could do.
Yeah.
You could ask questions like,
Yeah.
what are the emerging trends in cancer research? Or how has public sentiment towards climate change evolved over time?
The insights we could get would be incredible.
They would be groundbreaking.
So how far away are we from this vision?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
It's a really active area of research.
Okay.
There's still some technical hurdles,
Right.
but we're making a lot of progress.
Okay.
The team behind this SDK
Mm-hmm.
is really pushing the boundaries,
Uh-huh.
and I'm confident that we'll see some big advancements in the coming years.
It's a really exciting time to be working with data.
It is.
You know, we're seeing these tools and techniques emerge that are completely changing the game.
It's a whole new world of possibilities.
Now, I'm sure our listeners are wondering, where can they learn more?
Of course.
Aside from the GitHub and the Colab notebook,
Right.
what other resources would you recommend?
Well, for those who are interested in the theory behind all of this,
Okay.
I recommend checking out some of the classic papers
Okay.
on knowledge graphs and LLMs.
Right.
They give you a really good foundation
Okay.
and the core concepts.
And for people who like a more hands-on approach,
Yeah.
what about them?
There are some fantastic online communities dedicated to these topics.
Cool.
You can connect with other enthusiasts,
Mhm.
share your work,
Yeah.
ask questions,
Yeah.
and learn from each other's experiences.
So it's like a global brainstorming session,
Exactly.
constantly coming up with new ideas and pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the nuts and bolts of this new SDK
Right.
to all the possibilities it opens up. Yeah.
As we start wrapping up,
Oh,
I want to bring it back to the listener for a moment.
Good.
Imagine that you could query your own data
Mm-hmm.
just as easily as chatting with a friend.
Yeah?
What questions would you ask?
What mysteries would you try to uncover? It's a great question to think about.
Yeah.
If I could chat with my data, I'd want to know things like,
Yeah.
what are the hidden patterns in my customers' behavior that could help me improve their experience?
Oh, interesting.
Or what are the early warning signs of potential problems in my supply chain?
Right.
Being able to just ask those questions and get real answers
Yeah.
would be amazing.
It would totally change how we make decisions.
Absolutely.
Instead of just reacting to things,
Yeah.
we could be proactive and insightful.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's so cool about this SDK.
Uh-huh.
It's not just for data scientists anymore.
Right.
It's for anyone who wants to understand their data better,
Yeah.
ask the right questions,
Mhm.
and make smarter decisions. We're moving past the days of just collecting data.
Yeah.
Now we can actually use it to its full potential.
That's powerful.
It is.
It's like we're giving people the keys to unlock the stories hidden in their data.
That's a great analogy.
And those stories could lead to some amazing breakthroughs,
Yeah.
whether it's in business or science or even our personal lives.
We're at the start of something really new here.
Yeah.
A whole new way of exploring data.
That's exciting.
It is. The possibilities are endless.
Now, you mentioned that the team is working on expanding this to handle unstructured data.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're most excited about.
That seems like a huge leap.
It is a big challenge.
Yeah, what are some of the challenges and opportunities there?
Right, so dealing with unstructured data like text, images, audio,
Right.
it's tough
Yeah.
because you have to find ways to extract meaning and relationships
Yeah.
from data that's messy and
The
unpredictable.
real world data.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But the potential rewards are huge.
What do you mean?
Imagine being able to take information from scientific papers,
Okay.
news articles,
Mhm.
social media conversations, even works of literature,
Wow. That's a lot.
and combine it all into a knowledge graph.
That would be amazing.
It'd be like connecting all the world's knowledge together.
I can't even imagine the possibilities.
I know, right?
Like, what kinds of questions could we ask then?
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
What are the emerging trends in cancer research?
Wow.
How has public sentiment towards climate change evolved over the past decade?
The insights would be incredible.
They would be groundbreaking.
So how far away are we from this vision?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an area where a lot of research is happening right now.
Right.
There's still some technical challenges to figure out.
Okay.
But the team behind this SDK is really pushing the limits. And I'm confident that we'll see some major breakthroughs in the next few years.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not quite ready for prime time yet.
Not quite, but it's definitely on the horizon.
That's exciting.
It's a really exciting time to be working in this field.
So for our listeners who are eager to learn more about all of this, where should they go?
Besides the GitHub and the Colab notebook.
Yeah. What other resources would you recommend?
Well, for those who are really interested in the theory, I always recommend going back to the original papers.
Right.
You know, the classic papers on knowledge graphs and LLMs.
Yeah, they lay the foundation.
Exactly. They give you a really solid understanding of the fundamental concepts.
And for people who are more hands-on learners, what about them?
There are some amazing online communities out there.
Okay, cool.
Where people are sharing their work, asking questions, helping each other out.
It's like a global community of people who are passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
It's a great way to learn and stay up to date on the latest developments.
So it's like a giant brainstorming session.
Yeah, constantly generating new ideas.
Wow.
Pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
We've covered so much today. We have.
From the technical details of this new SDK to the broader implications for different fields.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool.
As we wrap up, I want to shift our focus back to the listener for a moment.
Yeah, let's do that.
So imagine you could query your own data just as easily as having a conversation with a friend.
I like that.
What questions would you ask?
What mysteries would you try to solve? That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the potential here.
It does.
To move from just reacting to things to a more proactive and insightful way of making decisions.
Absolutely.
And that's what's so exciting about this SDK.
Yeah.
It's not just for data scientists anymore. It's for anyone who wants to understand their data better.
Right.
Ask the right questions and make more informed decisions.
We're moving beyond just collecting data.
Yeah.
Now we're really starting to understand and use it to its full potential.
That's powerful.
It is.
It's like we're giving people the keys to unlock the stories hidden in their data. That's a great way to put it.
And those stories can lead to some incredible breakthroughs.
They can.
Whether it's in business or science or even our personal lives.
We're in the beginning of something really new here.
Yeah.
A whole new way of exploring data.
It's exciting.
It is. The possibilities are endless.
Well said.
Thanks.
Don't be intimidated by the complexity of knowledge graphs and LLMs.
Right.
With tools like this SDK, that complexity is becoming more and more manageable.
Absolutely.
So embrace the challenge, experiment, ask questions.
Yeah.
Who knows, you might just uncover something truly remarkable.
The answers are out there waiting to be discovered.
And with the right tools and a curious mind,
exactly,
those discoveries are within reach.
That's the key.
That's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of knowledge graphs, LLMs, and the exciting potential of GraphRAG-SDK 0.5.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another adventure in the world of data and discovery.
See you then.